Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot. It's Sunday. Nice day outside. But here I am making another video. This time a video that's showing what's going on in my home state, old stomping ground of New York. Of course, it's turning out to be a disaster, as always, being run by the Democrats. And just like always, the Democrats start some shit, and then they don't know how to handle it. But like I always said, it's by design. They start the chaos, they let it get out of control, and then they'll make it seem like, oh, now we got to fix the problem. But it always ends up with the question, at what expense? So people, this came out about 4 days ago, but people need to pay attention of what's going to happen with the migrant surge in New York. Just pay attention, because I, for 1 minute, am not believing that now the Democrats think it's a problem and they need help. Somewhere along the line, they're going to reach for something that they've always wanted, but they needed to know how to set up the crisis. But check this out. Here we go.
New York City's migrant crisis is only getting worse. The so-called sanctuary city's migrant shelters are officially out of room. And we're seeing migrants spill into the streets of Midtown Manhattan with no other place to go. Hundreds have set up camp outside the city's iconic Roosevelt Hotel, and scenes like this are becoming far too common across the Big Apple.
Now look at this. In the background you can see a store, obviously a storefront. It's a shame the way Eric Adams was saying, New York's a sanctuary city, this and that, bring them in. Then he got upset when they were busing them in from other states because they didn't want them, from like Texas and Florida, saying, no, you know what, you wanted this, you can have them. And now, then he went and started sticking them in hotels, pissing off the locals from New York. And now they kicked them out of the hotels. And there's more and more coming. So now here we go with the streets flooded with migrants, hundreds of migrants. When the whole fucking time, all they had to do was say, no, let's all work together, let's shut the border down and find out what's going on. And I'm not going to say that, that's on you, or I told you so, or good for you, because now people's lives are in jeopardy. So it wouldn't be fair to say that, because that would be kind of harsh, because I know amongst a lot of these migrants, many of them do want a better life. Although I do also believe that a lot of them are just here for the benefits and to commit crime and stuff like that. But it's just sad to see all these people out in the street on top of the regular American-born New York homeless people, So let this be a testament to people, especially the bleeding heart liberals, saying that, oh no, open the borders, everybody deserves a chance, they're all asylum seekers, this and that. So we'll see, but let's go.
The situation is so dire that the city is now reportedly considering converting soccer fields used by children on Randall's Island to additional shelters. And now Mayor...
Yeah, you see, that right there in itself is a disservice to the people of New York. I remember when I was young how people advocated for Randall's Island to be turned around, fixed up, because it was just sitting there really doing nothing, and there wasn't that many big parks for the kids to go play, so they started, little by little, they started changing it and saying, well, let's add something more, for the kids of New York, even just for adults to go and have a nice place to go hang out, enjoy the day, play sports. And now they're going to turn it, if I had to guess, without even letting her finish, they're going to turn it into a tent city. And you know what? And it'll sit there for years. Because all they'll do is try to place those illegal immigrants and then bring in more illegal immigrants. So it'll be a stop. It'll be a stopover, which means that it'll take away from taxpayer money of the people that fought so hard and really wanted a place for the locals. Now they'll take that away. But see, that's what the Democrats do. They'll take away from Americans just to give to somebody else that doesn't belong here. And it's a vicious cycle, you know, that the Democrats do. And they're trying to impose this on people living in the red states, trying to do the same to them. And people wonder why, you know, so many people are against illegal immigration, especially the way it's been since Biden's regime came into power. Because you're bringing in too many people, there's no resources, and you're going to wind up taking away resources from the people here who have paid into it. So, to all the bleeding heart liberals in New York that wanted this, to them I say, now you have nowhere to take your kids, even if you took them to Randall's Island to play. But now this affects you, so I hope it opens up your eyes. But let's continue.
Eric Adams is calling for more help and sending this warning to resident New Yorkers.
Eventually, this was going to come to a neighborhood near you, and it is. We need to control the border. We need to call a state of emergency, and we need to properly fund this national crisis.
This dude has become such a pompous prick. God forgive me, but for him to come out and make that remark saying that eventually this was going to come to a neighborhood near you, nobody asked for this except a small minority, I should say. Born and raised in the Bronx all my life, let me tell you something. We've always, old New Yorkers, the good ones, whether he was Democrat, liberal, Republican, the ones that believed in fairness, would have never wanted, wouldn't have complained about immigrants coming in. But in mass like this, we would have said no. There's nowhere to put them. You're not going to take my hard-earned tax money, especially if you're not going to give me a tax break or tax incentives just to give it to somebody else, and especially by the millions. So for him to come out and say something like this, and then to say, now we need help. No, you opened up your big ass mouth. You made the decision for everybody in New York, not just only because a small minority wanted it. You made the decision for everybody. And now you're going to come out and say we need help? No, sorry, brother. You got money. You live in a mansion. Take some of those illegals, put them in your mansion. And it's funny how, I think it was a month ago or 2 months ago, the way he came out and said that if anybody has extra room to open up their doors and and invite illegals into your house. Really? Just like that, without any of these people being vetted. And not so much the women and children, definitely not, but the men. You just want people to open up their doors. He is so condescending and pompous that I'm very surprised how people in New York are not protesting to get him the fuck out of office. A lot of people don't understand this, but they say that New York is deep blue. New York is, from me growing up in New York, born and raised in New York is actually more red than blue. But it's the corrupt leftists that are running it, like Schumer and Nadler and all these other people. And it's like nobody votes them in. I've never heard a good thing about Jerry Nadler, especially about Chuck Schumer. People get fed up. And if they had a vote right now in New York with the way everything's going, I guarantee you New York will flip red in a heartbeat. It definitely would. But let's continue.
We need help. We need help, and it's not going to get any better.
And you can see it in his face, his sullenness in his face.
It's downhill.
From the way it was
there is no more
months ago when he was all full of energy and full of anger. Now he's got this little dog-beaten face look on him. Because he knows he fucked up. He knows he did wrong.
room.
And Bill Maher is now calling out the leaders of the Democrat-run cities for failing to address the issue.
It's, again, the same principle as I was saying before about, the reverse of what liberalism really is. Liberalism is, for the sake of humanity and compassion, can we get these people off the streets?
Bill Maher was a staunch leftist, and I'm starting to believe in the past year that he is slowly but surely turning. Not so much Republican, but he's definitely probably going to end up being an independent. If anybody hasn't watched the segment that he had with Russell Simmons, you need to watch it. Russell Simmons talks so much facts that when you look at Bill Maher's face, you can see that he's listening to Russell Simmons like, you're right. You're absolutely fucking right what you're saying. So I don't have the link to that, but if you can look it up, I mean, it's still on. It's all over the internet. You need to look it up because a person like Bill Maher, I mean, him and Joe Rogan were both totally against the right. And if I had to guess, when it comes to vote, I would not be surprised if they both vote Republican or at least independent. But let's continue.
And woke is, how dare you ask them to move? This is their home.
They have rights.
No, it's not. There's easily a better solution to this. But instead they put them in hotels? That's your answer, hotels? Could everybody just stop the posturing? Don't pretend that you love migrants so much, and then when we send them to you, you don't like them.
Facts.
You know? You're full of and we can see
Facts.
that.
Like what happened in Martha's Vineyard when they send those 50 migrants. Martha's Vineyard is supposed to be able to house, on their peak season, I believe, I don't know, something like 70,000 people or something like that, or 7,000. I mean, just an enormous amount. On the low end of the season, when everybody's home, you know, for the winter season and all that, there's only a couple of thousand people living there. So all the hotels, all those bed and breakfasts, all that is empty. And right away, nothing but extreme leftists living on the island, Obama and the rest of the regime. But no, they could not house 50. Within, I believe it was, they said within 48 hours, they had those migrants off the island and onto a military base. Why? You're all for illegal immigration. Oh, but wait a minute. On Manhattan Island you are. On Staten Island, on Queens and Brooklyn and the Bronx. But not on Martha's Vineyard little island. Oh no, you can't mess up that little safe haven. Oh fuck no. We have our own problems. We got bodies floating in the water. Psh, figure that one out. But here we go.
That. Yeah, you liked them when it wasn't your problem because you're not a border state.
There you go.
And then when they show up in Chicago and New York, you're like, what are we going to do with these people?
Kim Douglas, truer words never spoken, right?
Yeah, and it's true. Because what the whole thing with the Democrats, what they were hoping for was that they can bring in all these illegals like they were in the beginning, and now it's starting to slow down because they're getting busted. But they were busted shipping, transporting a lot of these illegals to the red states. To Florida, Arizona, Texas, because they want the influx so like that when voting season comes, they can have those people vote illegally. But then when all these red states started figuring this out and said, oh, wait a minute, oh, fuck no. Now we're going to send them back to you. And since they were busted, now they're stuck. Like Eric Adams. Now he knows. He's like, well, now I can't send them anywhere because our plan failed. Now I got to eat shit. And here they are. Homeless people that did not go homeless because of a failing economy in America or for whatever other reason. Homeless people that were told, coerced, and brought into this country. Talk about the American dream. Go north if you leave it up to the Democrats. Let's continue.
Oh my gosh. And I'm not trying to be lighthearted about this because it really is serious. But when I heard about the story, I went down and I was interviewing some of the little kids in the soccer fields, and they're tired of being kicked around. Okay. All right, so didn't plan that well, but seriously, you guys, the little kids, I understand through my research, 3,000 hours of sports events will be canceled because, as Bill Maher said, these people, you can't say, don't come here. We want to move them to these soccer fields. So
see, there you go. So now, not only a place where people can hang out, now jobs will be lost because the venues will not be held. Money will be lost. You see, this is why I said the Democrats' American dream is like go north. So now the people up north, you know, in a lot of these blue states, it just takes away more and more and more if you leave it up to the Democrats. So now the migrants have nowhere to go, have no way to survive, no which way to survive. Okay? Left out in the street in the blazing fucking heat waves that we've been having. Okay? Plus, now they're going to build, I guarantee you, 10 cities right before the cold weather hits. They'll house them there. There'll be no sporting venues, nothing for people to make money. So now loss of jobs. But yet they're going to then they're going to want help from the government, which the leftist government is going to be more than happy to do it, but also, again, at a price. They'll be raising up more money. They'll be raising up taxes, especially in the states themselves. See, this is a trickle effect that affects everybody. And even the ones that are for this, their hope is that, oh, it won't affect me or my constituents, but it always ends up affecting their constituents, no matter what. It won't hurt the politicians because they're going to get their fucking paycheck. But it'll hurt their constituents. But then they'll come with a lie and brainwash. Well, we got to do this, we got to raise that, we'll just cut from this, cut from that. Instead of just pumping the fucking brakes and saying, listen, man, let's deal with with what's going on in our society, our communities first. But they don't want that. They want the collapse. They want the collapse. And this is why I keep saying more and more people on the left are so fed the fuck up. They're like, I'm done. I'm either switching parties and or leaving the state. Or both. Staying in the state and switching parties and then fucking trying to get shit, back to order. But here we go.
All these little ones that are out trying to deal with obesity, trying to deal with depression, now they're all out of their soccer games. The parents, the adult teams that we all need so much. All of this is kicked to the curb, forgive me, but no pun intended. But seriously, now all of the migrants, 93,000 I think to date, are going to be in these soccer fields.
93,000 to date in New York. 93,000. That is fucking incredible. What's really incredible is that to date so far, they estimate there to be that at least, if not more than 5 million have come into the country since Biden stole the presidency. So if there's just 93,000 in New York, where are the rest? I mean, I'm hearing from friends and family in Florida of the migrants flooding places in Florida, but they're being picked up and shipped out. They're like, nope, you're not going to stay. That's it. And by right, they have that. They have that choice to do that. And they're right. They're right because crime is up. There's even talk about a lot of migrants that are coming here. They're already setting up shop with gangs. And trust me when I tell you, people, you don't want these fucking third world country gangs from South America fucking forming in the United States. Why do you think people are trying to leave these countries? They cause carnage. And not regular carnage like a regular shootout in the street. I'm talking some diabolical, evil shit. You hear about it in South America, what they do to each other to prove a point. You don't want that kind of blood flowing in the streets of America. Because if it happens, it'll probably happen for a quick minute. Before people in America are going to be like, no, now we're going to fucking show you how we fucking do. How we do. Well, let's continue.
Yeah, doctor, to her point, 3,000 hours are projected to be canceled of activities of public and private school kids, adults included. And, these residents are also paying for this with their tax dollars. So they're being taxed and they're paying for it, and then they're losing what they've already paid for with their tax dollars to create those other recreational programs.
There you go. So you take you take from the taxpayer. They're paying their taxes because of something that they want. So now you said, fuck you. We're going to use it to do something else. So now you're paying for something and be like, so I got to still keep paying taxes, but I don't get the incentives. It's bullshit. It's total bullshit. And this is what people vote for. And I'm sorry, I said I wasn't going to point the finger, and I'm not pointing the finger like you all deserve it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, do you see what happens when you keep voting Democrat and some rhino Republicans? Like I've always said, there's no hair on my tongue. I know there's Republicans involved in this shit too. But do you see what happens when everybody's all for, especially in this day and age? People are just so brain dead. You know, of course I'm for illegal immigration. Everybody deserves the right to live. Yes, everybody deserves the right to live, but we live on a planet. We don't live in a state or on a continent. We live on a fucking planet. There is room for everybody. But why does everybody want to come to America and then flood the states, and then innocent people have to go and pay and not enjoy their own God-given right, their own American rights, you know, to enjoy the fruits of their labor? But let's continue.
Emily, it's a threat to the public health of people who are citizens here. And let me give you the facts on this. It's not just about...
And one more quick thing, I'll let it go. I've been thinking for a long time, I just haven't said it. Looking at all these droves of immigrants, not so much at the border, because they have facilities, I guess, but in these states where these people are living in groups in the street, he just mentioned it. I've always thought about it. What about the hygiene? What do they use the bathroom? Who's giving them money to eat? You know, those basic things. Especially right now in the dead of summer, that we are like in a nationwide heat wave that just won't fucking quit. Trust me, the state I'm in, we've hit heat indexes of 115. And I mean humid. It has been putrid, to say the least, to go outside and work. So how are these people taking care of themselves hygienically? It's just it's just not right.
The sanctity of our borders, which is huge. It's also a public health emergency here. I actually have been treating some of the migrants outside my office in the heat, on the street, trying to save them and having to send them to the hospital, because the one thing that's not being
Look at that.
is heat exposure.
Look at that.
And infectious diseases.
And I haven't even watched this video. I'm just going along with it.
Well, we're a sanctuary
But
city. He said that a year ago.
I'll repeat again. I have not watched this video. I'm just going along with it. But it is just a common sense thing for people with common sense to think of these things, and to think of them even before these people show up. But those are the polls that they won't take. Like, how would somebody feel about that? I mean, the average person will probably say, well, where are you going to stick them? You know, what about this? What about that? No. It's more like, you know, are you for or against Trump or Biden? You know what the answer is to that. Then they go up with the follow-up. So you're okay with immigrants? Of course. You're okay with the illegals? Of course. You see, I mean, just the wickedness of how they do things. But this is how common sense people should be thinking. If we got nowhere to put the regular homeless people, why do we want an extra almost 100,000 people if we cannot provide for them? But let's continue.
Oh, let me tell you one more thing. We have about 70 to 80,000 homeless in New York already, and they have shelters, and almost every one of them has a bed at night. That's not perfect, because the shelter system has a huge problem, but it's a big improvement from when I was in my training at Bellevue before the shelters were there. Improvement. There's no room in the shelters whatsoever for a
So look at that. So right now, if the numbers are correct, right now in New York, there's over 150,000 homeless people. Unbelievable. That's with the regular homeless and the illegals that are here. That's a lot of people in one area. And in a city. I'm sure a lot of them in the outer boroughs, I get it, you know. But that's a lot of people, man. That is a fucking lot of people.
additional people that are here illegally.
You know, Martha, the mayor says they're coming to a neighborhood near you, talking to New Yorkers, but I argue that sentence can be applied to all Americans because every state is a border state now.
Well, I live in a New York border state in New Jersey, and I can tell you that the homeless population has increased there as well because people are pushing out of the cities. It's already happening. And, you know, Eric Adams made...
And they're right. I'm in a so-called red state right now, which I'm not going to stay. I'm traveling along when the time is right, but the city of the state that I'm in, I mean, you would think is run by staunch Democrats. Because just going to the supermarket, I see illegals, I mean, coming in non-stop. And they're all out there begging. I mean, I had one guy stop me in front of the supermarket on crutches, missing a foot. I kid you not. Cannot speak English, missing a foot. He had a bag of lollipops. He was asking people for money, and he was giving them a lollipop. Excuse me. And then he asked, if I remember correctly, of what, you know, that's where they let him off. He's trying to look for work, and I didn't have the heart to tell him, but I'm looking at him with crutches, and a young guy too. I say maybe he was 30, 31. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, dude, nobody's going to hire you if you're on crutches without a foot. I'm sorry. At least not, not in the construction field or something like that. Where I live, there's a lot of homemade businesses, construction, landscaping, all that good stuff. But I'm thinking, if this man can't speak English, where, first of all, what kind of qualities does he have to apply for which job? And if he doesn't have any credentials to get hired, for all I know, he may be a lawyer. I don't know what he is. But if you don't have that paperwork, if you don't have the credentials, if you have nothing, you're here illegally, that poor man is going to be on public assistance. And that's just one story out of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of illegals that are coming in that are going to be handicapped like that. Not physically, but handicapped in many other ways. And it's a fucking disservice, not to the illegals, not to the Americans, to humankind, to do that to somebody. But the Democrats don't give a flying fuck. I'll say it again. The Democrats don't give a flying fuck about human life. They just want power. I mean, shit, look at Dianne Feinstein in California. She's in a wheelchair, could barely move. They had to remind her the other day how to vote, and she won't fucking step down. She'd rather rot in that fucking chair in the Senate, at her age, in her condition, than give up her fucking power. Because she knows that once she steps down, a Republican is going to step in. And that is how wicked and crooked that the fucking Democrats are. That they won't let go of power. By hook or by fucking crook. But let's continue.
Maybe stumbling on a solution here, because do not tick off soccer moms. They are very determined to get their kids to soccer, to get them to football practice, whatever. So he's messing with a group that is super fired up and will not stand. I'm telling you, people are way more serious about sports than academics in the current.
And it's true. People are trying to take their kids away from the chaos, trying to get them out the house, trying to do things, and now you're taking that away. But yet, you got all these kids by the hundreds and not thousands ransacking Union Square. And instead of finding places for these kids to let go of all that energy, they'd rather take more away. So now they not only do you have the older teenagers causing mayhem, now you're going to take away from the younger ones. So now they got to stay cooped up inside, just like fucking COVID, the lie that it fucking was, to keep people fucking indoors. You make kids just basically just lose their shit, not to mention the adults, because of the confinement. And now here we are. Summer's nowhere near over. The kids still have about another 2 months to go in New York before they go back to school. And now you're gonna pull away more for them to enjoy in the summer. Incredible.
Environment in the United States. So that, I think, will be a trigger. I think Bill Maher is 100% right. So much hypocrisy. It is dripping with hypocrisy when you look at the way this situation has been developed. And one thing that we didn't hear there, Sharon Osbourne said she's moving back to London because she said they don't allow people to sleep in the street there. It's against the law. When I was a kid, they used to have, they literally, the police would come out with sweeps, brooms. I'm sorry, sir, you can't sleep here. You got to find somewhere else to go. They would.
And I find it offensive with Mrs. Osbourne, and I'm a big Ozzy fan. I mean, when their daughter made that comment on The View about illegals years ago, I found it to be very offensive, but I was like, you know what? She had, she was motor mouth when she made that comment. Everybody could be forgiven. But now Sharon Osbourne is like, oh, you're moving back to London. Really? Is that what you think about America? You're all for the fucking liberalism. But then when it's getting too tight for you, you want to get up and go. Now, I'm not trying to badmouth the woman. I know a lot about her. She, in my opinion, she does have a very good heart. But you can't get up and make a comment like that, because it's like, this country is very accepting. But when it doesn't benefit you, or you see something that you don't like, you're just gonna get up and walk away. And I just think that's totally unfair to say something like that, And if she thinks that London's any fucking better, I mean, yeah, there may not be that much homelessness. But everybody knows that in London and UK, there's a lot of no-go zones that the police won't even go because of the illegal immigration taking over the fucking streets. Taking over the neighborhoods. And I'll say it, like I said, I have no hair on my tongue. A lot of it's done by Muslims. And not all Muslims, like the radical ones that, want to implement their own way of laws and living. But for Sharon Stone to say that, I think that's wrong. And I wish she would understand and change her tune on that, because you know what? You have somewhere to go. Okay, we've accepted you with open arms. Treated you well. You got somewhere to bail. Guess what? 99% of Americans don't. That's just the way it is. We got to stay here and fight it out.
Clear all the streets around Port Authority, and they had benches that had little partitions in them so that it wasn't comfortable to sleep on them. Obviously, you're so humane, and you're helping these individuals, and I think God bless you for that. Absolutely. We have to find humane solutions, but people cannot sleep all over the streets. It's just untenable. It's not going to work.
And to Martha's point, it started, remember, in the public schools giving up their gymnasiums.
Yes.
We talked at length about the parents that came out and said, not in my school, not in my kid, and then now it's their recreation too.
Right, what a great idea. Put single adult males in gymnasiums by children? Okay, bad idea, guys. That's just common sense. But the bottom line here is words are cheap, actions are real. Words like, we are a sanctuary city, but then the illegal immigrants come and you fail to provide sanctuary, they get to sleep on the street. We care about illegal immigrant children is another thing we hear from the Bleeding Heart liberals. Well, no, you don't, because when Vice President Kamala Harris, our border czar, went to the border, guess where she didn't go? Emergency intake facilities where kids were trying to commit suicide, where they had to take away N95 respirators because they were slitting their wrists, where they had suicide watch lists, where they were eating chicken with bloody feathers. So I'm tired of hearing about sanctuary city. We care for the kids. You don't care for the kids. Your leaders don't, at least. I believe some in the party do. Your leaders, they don't. They just point at fingers. They blame game all day, all night. And Biden, way to go, premature victory lap. You said illegal immigration coming down. Numbers in July, 130,000, up from the previous month, 95,000. Fix the problem.
Yeah. Well, we also said we cured cancer, so apparently
Yeah, well, Biden's nothing but a freaking stooge. I mean, I'm sorry. He definitely needs to get the hell out. I'll just end that right there. But, the whole thing with Kamala Harris about the borders, I believe she was doing an interview at the border. She was sitting down in a chair, and the camera panned off because they showed somebody climbing over one of the fences, and it left her stunned. And they won't really show that because it just proved the point. I was reading an article today. I believe it's in El Salvador. They have sent out, I believe it was 7,000 military along with 1,000 police officers to surround one of the towns, squeezing in on gang members. That's a lot, which means that whatever operation they're doing, it's because it's big. A lot of these illegal immigrants, the men, because they're coming in droves, they're at fighting age, military age. They're at the age where they can protect their country. I say send them back. Send them back and let them go back to their countries that they're from and start helping their countries get better. We're spending billions upon billions upon billions of dollars in taxpayer money here just to keep them here, when all you got to do is send them back and say, you know what, we'll help you with the tactics you need to end the crime and, you know, whatever, in whatever form it is. But it'll definitely be a hell of a lot worse than what is costing the taxpayer here to keep them here and house them and deal with the crime that they commit. And that's just my opinion. And I think that, you know what, like I said in one of my other videos, you know, when the shit hits the fan in America, I don't see people from other countries wanting to come here to help. We're always out there helping everybody else, and a lot of us Americans don't come back. So we can put an end to that if these people would just stay in their country and fight. That whole debacle from Afghanistan when they pulled out, and all those men that they brought back, thousands of Afghan men, where were the women and children? I say they're all a bunch of fucking cowards, in my opinion. And if I ever meet one, I'll tell him right to his fucking face, you're a fucking coward. You ran from your motherland, you left the women and children behind to hide like a fucking coward. Now, I know that not all men fight. I'm not going after the men that don't fight. There are men that just don't fight, and that is fine. But if I was in a group of men, okay, and 9 of us wanted to fight and 1 didn't want to fight, fine, we'll protect you. But to be in a group of men where thousands don't want to fight, they'd rather run and leave the women and children behind, no, I'm sorry. I will be the last one to stay and fight. The only man. And these men that are coming here, like I said, not all of them are criminals, but the ones that are just coming here, leaving, because they want a better life. I mean, you see them at the border, they're dressed down to the T's, they got brand new phones, some of them have jewelry and shit. I'm looking at them like, no, you motherfuckers are just too damn pretty. You're not seeking asylum. You know, you're seeking the fabulous life. You just want to come here, get a job, and not get your fucking hair fucking messed up. Nah, sorry, bro. Keep your fucking stupid ass there. Keep your happy ass in your country and help. Protect your land, man. Become a fucking man. Be a fucking man. Be brave. I know that it's tough with a lot of these, you know, criminal organizations out there. But damn it, you have the numbers. Yes, some people will die. It's sad, but it's true. But it's no different than war. If somebody came knocking on your door, you know, meaning coming to your country to invade. And it's no different than American soldiers, man or woman, going out there to protect people around the world. Many don't come back. But anyway, this is True Outlaw Patriot. I hope you like what I put out. If you do, please comment, subscribe. Trying to get the algorithm up. And people just need to see what's going on. And make your voices be known at the ballot box, man. You know, people, I understand the two parties, what we're going through. But it's affecting America as a whole. Just keep that in mind. It's affecting our freedoms. It's affecting our ways of life. Case in point, if New York is that blue, if it is predominantly blue, then it's affecting the people that voted for this. Remember, stay vigilant, keep praying, and keep praying for each other. Peace.